Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Bitcoin price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. And starting on the 4-hour chart, we are looking today at a little bit of a green, where of course we might have a scenario for it that it might be playing, which is one of the most highest scenarios that we might see right now for a WX and a Y, of course, after finishing a 3-wave corrective for wave A. We have topped exactly here for our bull run, where we have finished potentially a wave 1, big wave 1. We're looking for a big wave 2, of course, to be finished later on, of course, with a time and with, of course, a price and structure, A, B, and a C, of course. We need at least to reach the 0.38, as we mentioned yesterday in the deep analysis. You can come back to it, of course, if you would like to see much more detail for that scenario unfolding. So currently, the highest scenario is where we have, of course, a formation of 3 waves down for wave A. We're looking potentially for an expanding flat or a WX and a Y for your wave B here to, of course, finish actually 3 waves toward the upside and then moving towards the downside for 1-to-1 fib level for a wave C. Currently, we have in the bottom here 3 or 5 waves finished as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, we cannot consider this, of course, an impulse or a motive wave like a diagonal, for example, because, of course, the wave 5 is longer than this wave 3. However, of course, the only possible scenario for the bullish left there is 1-1-2s. In 1-1-2s, you would like to see, of course, higher prices. However, these higher prices has to break, of course, in a different scenario rather than just WXY finishing in this blue zone. You would like to see, of course, higher prices. Now, in the WX and a Y, of course, you finish 3 waves here, and you're looking for lower a little bit to hit at least the 0.38. And moving for a wave Y, potentially hitting, of course, this area and then moving toward the downside again for a big wave C. In the opposite scenario, where we said, of course, that we might have this bullish scenario, of course, which is short-term bullish with 1-1-2s, where you have hit already the last 1-2, and that was our Friday, where we hit, of course, perfectly the fib levels for a 1-2 as well. So possibility is there, of course, to move for higher. But first, we have, of course, to see this one hitting the WX and a Y, hitting this area and look for a reaction. If we move toward the downside impulsively, meaning, of course, we're moving for a wave C. If we see the price is still moving for higher and higher, of course, we're looking therefore for the impulse toward the upside, hitting the 1.38, 1.618, of course, for higher prices here. And then again, of course, moving toward the downside. Now, of course, don't forget that as well, we have a very bullish scenario that it might unfold. Still possible, as we saw also in the deep analysis, if you come back for it, where you have potentially finished, of course, a wave 4 here in the bottom, and you are looking for a big wave toward the upside, wave 5. But still, of course, very low possibility, and we mean with this one, of course, with this one where you finish, of course, a wave 5, potentially if your wave X has finished somewhere in this area, somewhere here, potentially a wave Z can be finished as well here, potentially, of course, if you have your X here, and zigzag for your wave Z and moving toward the upside because your X is also 3 waves. So possibility is low, of course, but still there. We cannot say that we just forgot about this scenario, because it can be, of course. And don't forget that after reaching the 1-1-2s here, fib level for this scenario, you can see that if we see continuation towards the upside here, meaning, of course, definitely we're moving for a new all-time high and potentially shifting to this scenario, surprisingly, of course. So if that happens, will be very surprising, of course. However, for the bearish, of course, there are some bearish scenarios as well. We're looking, of course, for this WXYXZ potentially as, of course, highest scenario as well for the bearish. Of course, after a WX and a Y potentially, if we see here that the prices start to move toward the downside from there. So we have to consider, and not moving toward the upside, we have to consider, of course, this scenario as a W, X, Y, and X and a Z is unfolding, meaning you have 3 waves for W, 3 waves for X, 3 waves for the Y, and another 3 waves, which is right now our WXY potentially unfolding, potentially even a little bit higher, can be possible, and then moving, of course, for a wave Z toward the downside. Of course, this will unfold a zigzag. We would like to see, of course, 3 waves, the same as for the W and the same as for the Y. You would like to see matching 3 waves in zigzags. That would be, of course, a nice pattern to finish a W, X, Y, X, and a Z. Now, the last scenario, we said, of course, that we might have also potentially an ending diagonal in ABC, but very low possibility, the ending diagonal. And that because of the very shallow wave, B3 wave structure here for very shallow in time and very sharp in price. Okay, but we cannot simply ignore it that it might be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 as an ending diagonal for a wave C. However, if we see also, we have final, of course, scenario, which it might unfold directly a wave C toward the downside, but this, of course, comes after checking our WXYXZ, meaning after finishing the wave Z here, if we see further move toward the downside, therefore we have to shift directly to our most bearish scenario, which is an A, a B, and a C, and a very clear impulse towards the downside, hitting the 1-to-1 fib level at 62.61. Okay, and then of course continuation for a rebound, and of course again a move toward the downside for the wave 2 blue box here, of course. So these are the most possible scenarios that we have, of course, from the deep analysis. You can check it again if you would like to see much more detailed information how it can work together in connection, as well step by step. And we're gonna move right now in the indicators to see what's gonna unfold for us and which possibility works the best with it. On the RSI 1 hour chart, we can see a clear consolidation for the price action with the RSI. We can see that the RSI also on the 1 hour chart is very close for the overbought area without reaching the high, even very close for it. And you can see that the price action is a kind of like showing a the same direction of the price, and we see, of course, consolidation even inside it. So basically, as you can see, the same direction for the price, and of course we see the RSI moving higher, closer to the overbought area, meaning of course a pressure might come sooner or later toward the downside to push us back for lower prices. So basically on the 1 hour chart, RSI doesn't show really bullish signals or even so much bearish, but we can expect, of course, an exhaustion of buying in the top here. Now, also for the 4 hour chart, if we take it in a bigger view as well, we can see as well a big potential divergence here. Here we go. I mean, yeah, it's not really divergence, it is convergence, putting more pressure toward the downside. Don't forget, this is lower, this is higher, and the RSI is moving towards the overwhelming area for buying before reaching the high. So definitely you are looking to an exhaustion of buying here and then potentially dropping toward the downside after it. For the bullish here, we can see as well a signal of is missing. A signal of more push toward the upside is missing. It is divergence a little bit, which is not, of course, giving power for the bullish. Here you would like to see something like this if you are bullish, as a clear divergence, but we don't have this, meaning, of course, higher potential is for the bearish on the RSI. Let's move to the MACD. So on the MACD, for our chart, you can see the trend line are consolidating on the same, of course, line, which is, of course, the neutral line between bullish and bearish, and not really clear signal. What do we have on the MACD? For our chart is very straight sideways here. However, we can see also that the volume of the buyers also was increasing in this area a little bit, but not something very decisive to say, okay, we are very bullish. Or the same for the sellers. We can see also the volume is increasing, but of course in quantity is not exactly as the buyers, meaning the buyers were of course loading in this area, but I doubt of course that if this move toward the upside again, of course, therefore we see higher prices. But I still see, of course, here a lot of pressure in the selling, of course, even knowing that we got, of course, a high volume here. What we would like to see, of course, is taking the high. Very simple. If we take the high and this move for higher, therefore that might be a signal, of course, that we're moving for at least the WX and a Y, this scenario. To reach a wave Y, it depends, of course, on time as well. It doesn't matter. It can be here, over there. So a Y here. It has to be a structure, 3 waves toward the upside, for example, and then continuation toward the downside. However, I still see, of course, a lot of neutral price here action. I don't see, of course, a price decision yet. On the 1 hour chart for the MACD, we can see as well it's the same. Yeah, it is totally the same. However, of course, the signal here for bullish is opening, but I'm not sure how much this is gonna hold, knowing that we're coming from the bottom here and we're moving for higher potentially. Well, it can be, but don't forget as well that the volume of the buyers is increasing, while as well the sellers are decreasing. Yeah, so potentially it might still be possible, of course, to move for a wave Y as per MACD here. If we take a look a little bit on the volume for Bitcoin, for the volume, we can see that yeah, we have a highest amount of volume in this area, right? In this one, meaning it's an end of a structure here. We definitely end up a structure on the 1 hour chart, meaning at least a WX and a Y. And if you are in 1212 here, of course, you see the highest amount of volume on the wave 1 as well. So that means, of course, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then potentially 1, 2 again, and then moving toward the upside. Now we see again high amount of volume in this area. Don't forget that this can be as well working as a finished structure, which it can be, of course, a 1, 2 toward the downside, unfolding several scenarios in this case for the bearish. Yeah, so we have to be careful with it, of course. For the bearish, we're looking for the WXYXZ as a first bearish scenario, which it should be an impulse correction impulse. You would like to see a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and especially that you got already an impulse here. You're looking for a wave 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So very high potential based on the volume that we are looking at a wave 2 finished and potentially moving toward the downside sooner or later. Let's take a look also at the KGT. So on the KGT for the 5-minute chart, a very clear signal. We are on the 500 here. Strength, we can see a very clear, strong signal, bearish signal, of course, taken from the tops here, as of course price action is of course in convergence with those bearish signals, and that means of course it's a selling pressure coming in, and potentially we move for lower, especially that you got an invalidation of a bullish here because your bullish signal is higher than this one. It is in convergence and not in divergence. You would like to see the CVD line moving toward the downside while the price action is moving for higher to create a very strong divergence, almost close to the concept of the RSI for the bullish here. And we have this, of course, missing. We don't have it, of course, though, and we're still looking for lower, definitely to lower the CVD line in case we are looking for a bullish. However, this signal is very clear for us that bringing us for lower prices on the KGT, very clear signal as well. So if we take a look also on the Bollinger Bands, so as we can see on the 1 hour chart Bollinger Bands, we can see of course the price action is tightening here and going sideways. It has started, of course, to try to stretch, of course, this upper resistance band, of course, and potentially it might, of course, bring it back down. Otherwise, we would like to see a very stretch wave 3 towards the upside. In this case, if we don't see it, or continuation at least for higher prices. If we don't see this, of course, therefore we have to expect a move towards the downside, especially the 4-hour chart is very close and is concising. Yeah, so when you see this tightening, it might of course unfold something else, and it might start to stretch somehow like this in case we are bearish. So basically we are in a resistance, I would say, just by seeing the red line here, and we are potentially in a resistance to move toward the downside with it again. On the daily chart, we are exactly in neutral in the middle position, which is of course still waiting for a price decision whether we move for higher in WXNY. That okay would be great for our signal for potential wave Y, and then moving toward the downside again continuously to continue, of course, this trend for lower prices. Yep, so that was it for the indicators on Bitcoin. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. However, in conclusion, I believe that okay, we have a lot of neutrality based on the MACD as well, and the RSI. KGT shows, of course, clear signal of bearish, so potentially we might move lower sooner or later after finishing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. For your ABC as a wave 2, meaning creating a 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and a 5. And maybe KGT shows a much more clearer signal that we are very close for a bearish signal here from the tops here with some pressure. And of course, with the Bollinger Bands on the daily, we are very neutral, looking for a price decision as well, but also much higher potential for the bearish soon or later. You know, so potentially still looking for lower. Don't forget that we are in a very bear market right now, potentially, of course, since we are moving down. So higher potential always goes for the bearish scenario as well. That was it for Bitcoin. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments. See you in the next one. Bye bye.